Hey there, welcome to another episode of Watch Soup. Watch Soup, episode 11, every Sunday night with my co-hosts. I'm about to be like my co-hosts, Clayton and Sanjay. Uh, guys, how are you? Happy Mother's Day. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And I know there's like no, like Sanjay here, like nobody's like, no mothers are like watching our show probably, right? I mean, maybe, but certainly not on the live chat. Hey, but if there's any mothers who are secretly watching our show that don't participate in chat, please say something. Well, just put something in the chat. Let us know that you are here, and yeah, and just introduce yourself. That'd be great. Anyway, Clayton, Watchdog Podcast. How are you, my friend? What's
Mm,
going on?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, had a good weekend. Got together with some friends last night. Busy day today. Yeah, so it was good. It went by too fast. Sunday night, all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what do you got on wrist?
Air King.
Yes.
Yep,
Nice.
rocking this today. Yeah, it's been just a great watch that
Mm,
I just love wearing it. It actually provides stiff competition for the Moser.
mm-hmm.
And, I'm glad I get to take one of those off and put the other one on. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
great,
Mhm.
I
great
am loving this small
two watch
rotation.
combo.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
absolutely. Makes me. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Yeah, I wish I can get down. I'm pretty far down as I can get right now, as I'm comfortable with. Although I wish, like, I think I have like five um watches in the 18 box, right? I have an 18 box and I have a 18 box, right? But even that, like, like I can't see a path getting down to three, especially with two of them that I've had for such a long time are permanent collection. So like I almost have to like treat them as they're not there in order to
Yeah.
get down to three, right? Whatever logic we use, right? Whatever logic it takes, right?
Yeah.
Um, hey Sanjay, Engineer Wannabe channel, what's going
Mhm.
on, man? You've had a crazy weekend, right? I mean, we had
Yeah.
some fun last night in your stream.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on last night, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you helped make that stream. It was so much fun.
No, no. Well,
So,
Bobby K is the prosecutor. I'm just like, I'm just his assistant,
yeah.
you know. But we
Yeah.
got down to it. We got down to like the nitty gritty, the figuring out what was happening, like how the modus operandi of your um your
Well,
trade yesterday.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I tried the whole consolidation thing, but didn't really work
yeah,
out for me.
I know, man. It's almost like a mirage, right?
Yeah.
Like, you see it at the edge of the horizon, and you think it's like these palm trees and the flowing water and three watches only floating in the air, and then you
Yeah.
get there and it's just made up in your mind. It's just
More sand.
just more, and it's like quicksand too, so you're
Yeah.
sinking, so
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
like, for me, it would be just the one watch, if I could, I would, blow up the collection, just get the Moser Green Dragon, but I know I'm gonna blow up that Moser Green Dragon and get 3 more watches.
absolutely, and that's why we love you. I mean,
Yeah.
we love you for other reasons, but I mean, that's like one of the reasons why we love you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sanjay, speaking of blowing things up, what do you have on wrist?
On my wrist is, the SLGH 013.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
the the
really
the
enjoying
uh,
wearing it.
the prize of the trade, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Snowscape, melting snowscape with
Hmm.
the, um, 9SA5 movement back here, which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
get. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
looking movement,
Nice.
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, lot of fun wearing it. It's running fast, so I'm bummed
Oh,
out on that
man.
Grand
It's
Seiko.
gone.
It's gained 15 seconds since yesterday. So,
Yeah, I think with new watches, right? I mean, don't you give it some time though, right? I
yeah,
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No,
it
I
should
I
sort itself out,
honestly,
I would think, once you get it on wrist for a while.
yeah,
yeah, honestly, I don't really care about accuracy on mechanical watches.
hmm
But, it's just the second watch in a row that's running significantly faster than it should be. But
yeah,
this could settle down. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Let's just hope.
yeah.
Let's just hope. Um, hey, let's say hello to everybody before we get started this evening. Chris from the Watchdown is here wearing the Orient Bambino.
What's on your wrist, by the way?
Yeah, we skipped
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
We got the submariner on the
Subby.
strap, kind of
Yeah.
tying into something that somebody talked about in one of the videos
Yes.
that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I wanted
Right.
to make sure I had it on. So Chaz is here. Chaz from the Berg. FP Wilson here for the pilot lessons. Yes, one of the critiques from Watch Eric, right? Because
Oh,
he
yes.
mentioned us
Yeah.
was that we took a little while, or one of us, I don't know who it was probably me, maybe, but it took a little while landing the plane, meaning getting our point across. Fortunately for my passengers, it wasn't as long as Eric trying to land the plane on what he was saying. But anyway, hey, listen, I'm a fan of Eric, and I've been a fan for a long time, and I was geeking out. Like I got a message from a subscriber on Instagram saying, "Hey, watch Eric mentioned you on the podcast with Paul Thorpe, Watch Soup, that is, right?" And I was like, "Oh my God, really?" And then of course I had like it was like an hour long, and I had to just like sift through and try
Yeah.
and find it, but I found it, and it was awesome.
Ye-
Um,
We're nice guys, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice
but
guys.
this is not the first time Watch Soup has been recognized, right, Sanjay? Didn't Paul Thorpe,
Paul Thorpe. Yeah.
when you hosted it for a little while there when I was absentee, I think he and a couple other people's, I think Theo and Harris, has been on the chat, like when we first started doing it.
Yeah.
He would show up. Chris, I think his name is, and I think Britt also messaged you one time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Brit did.
still know you're terrific, though. Still not Evan,
No,
but
he just doesn't appreciate my fanboyism.
no. I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to do my best to see how I can make it happen
No.
for one day. You guys to meet, via stream or whatever it is. But maybe one day. Maybe one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Um,
Paul Thorpe has a couple of times actually. Even when it was just you and me, Bobby.
yeah.
He mentioned us has a couple of times.
And
So
that last time, because we called him out for his negative attitude about something
yeah,
Sunday.
Watchfinder.
Yeah,
Negative
right,
attitude on
right.
Watchfinder.
About Grand Seiko, right?
No, it was the accent of the posh British
Oh,
accent
yeah,
and
that's right.
yeah,
That's right. Right. And we got into the whole Cockney thing and everything, but we almost had him on. And I think then
yeah.
we ended it. I think maybe you had your child around that time. And I
Well,
think maybe we went on our
Kids, man, they
hiatus
get in
then.
the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're still getting in the way.
He did say he'd like to come on, have a right to
Yeah.
reply, but
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, come on," and never heard back from him. So,
Well, tell him that we're giving free flying lessons, and maybe he'll come out. Steve Timell is here. How you
Denied the
doing, Steve?
blow. Denied that he does blow. So
Oh yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, like, I probably shouldn't have said that, right? I mean, that's like making it a, that's but dude, the guy wears sunglasses. He talks like this. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of Cuban people, right? I grew up um, in a town that has the second highest Cuban population outside of Miami in the United States, and none of my friends do that, and all the Cubans who are on blow do that. So like, I just it's just like deducing, like, I just think, oh, it's gonna take a stab at this. Anyway, he probably doesn't, that's fine. That's fine. I kind of liked him more thinking that he does do it, but whatever. It's bad for you. Um, Young Excellency, fresh off the Megadeth concert last night. What's
oh,
up, man? How
sweet.
you doing? Um, BJ is here. Hey, BJ, he's wearing his Datejust 36. Mez9 is here. How you doing? Bruno, what is up? What's going on? Underachieving Watch Collector is here. Hello. What's up, boys? What's up, Cowboy Swami? How you doing this evening? Let's see here. Oh, Chris is saying 7.7% of his viewers are female. It's probably it's probably his mom, right? Uh, hey, Williams here. Hello from Valparaiso, Indiana, wearing Speedmaster Schumacher 2000 limited edition. Wow, very nice. Let's see. Scrolling. Justin R is strapped in. Joey B. Hey now, what's going on? The Black Bay 54 is already in the trunk. That's what Wilson is saying. Uh, it's out. I think they reacted to your Peter C is here. How you doing, Peter C? Hey, Joy B is wearing his Planet Ocean tonight. Very nice. Royal Regency, hello. How are you? Mazal, yeah, that's right, Mazal, man.
Mazal.
What does that mean?
So that's like so. When we were analyzing Eric's video, that the one that he mentioned us about,
Yeah.
he was part of it was that these new kind of dealers, the Instagram dealers, not really understanding the concept of Mazal, which is between the way he described it between two people in the industry like him and another dealer. It's like a word of mouth. It's
Good
like
faith.
good
Yeah.
faith, like handshake, but it's like
Yep.
but instead of like handshaking, you say mazal, and that means it's a Hebrew word. I don't even know exactly what I forgot what it means. I'm sure somebody will tell us in the chat, but it's basically just like saying that this is my word. The deal is done. You know.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how they end it. That's how that I think that's how they end it. They're like, okay, we're good. We're good. Mazal. Boom. Ken Spear is here. How you doing, Ken? What's going on? Checking in from Pittsburgh. Anybody else? Oh, Paul. What's going on, Paul? How you doing? Good to see you. Mazel tov. Ep, what's up, Ep? How you doing? Yeah, land that plane. Okay, I
Yeah.
get your point. Land that plane. All right, fine, fair enough. Okay. Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen Watch Soup before, if it's your first time, we take some videos from the major watch content creators on YouTube in the past week, and we each pick one and we kind of talk about it and have a little discussion, and hopefully you guys in the chat can get there too. It's time to serve the soup.
Soup's up.
Soup's on.
I need
Love
to
how we all
write it
said
down.
something different.
I need to write it and put it. Okay. All right. So first of all, video. John P watches. John P, as you know, is Federico's partner in crime over there in Delray Watch, and he did a video on Rolex robbery surge and 5 tips to prevent. Clayton, this is your video. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so not the biggest John P fan, but I actually especially the first part before the tips are all very common sensey stuff, but yeah, some of the I guess I was not aware of some of these techniques that these
Mm,
thieves are using, like pretty scary stuff. So he talked about, watch robberies are way up. He referenced, I believe it was Grant Cardone, if I'm allowed to say who it was, who got robbed of a Richard Mille at an F1 race in Miami last year, worth $750,000. Obviously, somebody do that watch and
mm,
had him. He's a pretty recognizable figure, so for it. So, it was a targeted attack. John gave some statistics, 6,000 watch robberies in London alone last year. That number's going crazy. He Thieves will be on mopeds, and if you're driving a nice car, let's take the chance you're wearing a nice watch too. So they will ride
mm.
up, and even easier if you're in a convertible, but at a stoplight or something, they'll smash your window, do a smash and
Wow.
grab real quick. Crazy. I'm so naive. That stuff really happens. It was like something out of a movie that would be like hard to believe, but
Mm,
nope. He said that happens. Restaurants, maybe you have a waiter or somebody on the inside who, you're at a nice restaurant, you dress up, you want to wear your nice dress watch or your nice piece out to eat, and there's somebody on the inside who text somebody like nice watch coming out of the door, and they'll get you right when you come out of the restaurant and get your nice watch. There are jewelry watch rings that just specialize in stealing watches and fine jewelry. The Black Widow robberies he talked about,
mhm.
where somebody will slip you a Mickey, as they say, GHB, whatever it might be, and make you pass out. My father-in-law, they were in Paris, and that kind of thing happened to him, where
Wow.
this young girl was not the GHB thing. This young girl was talking to him and was smiling and flirty and tried to reach around and grab his wallet, and
Wow.
he caught it. He wasn't buying it. He's a pretty street smart guy. So like that stuff's happening a lot. So yeah, just be careful when you're going to. We've leaned into the pandemic. We haven't traveled too much, but we hope to again. And yeah, it'll make me think twice. When I went to New York City, I wore the the Fortis with the frosted crystal, because
Mhm.
everyone's just going to think it's all fogged up or has moisture
Mm.
damage anyway. So no one's going to go after that. Then he gave 5 tips, which I think were pretty self-explanatory. Insure your watches. You know, you can
Mhm.
do it on a home policy. I actually use Hodinkee insurance. That's been pretty good. I put
Mm.
I put the Air King on under that. So that's been, I thought it was reasonable. So
Mm.
it's pretty easy to do. You can do it on your home policy. Just give yourself some added protection. You talked about dealers need to do this as well, because we've seen some dealers get nabbed. There, I think there were a couple in Beverly Hills. So you have to be careful about that. Um, like the thing that made me think of you tonight with your what you've been doing with your sub, right? If you have a Rolex, if even if you like it on bracelet, but you're going to be out and about in a big city or something, put it on rubber, downplay it a little bit. Something Bobby's done with his sub, and I think you talked about that's one of the reasons you did it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yep.
that's just another. And then the third is just tuck it under your cuff if you see some people, or if you know you're going to be around a lot of people, maybe in a subway or something in a tight space. Just hide your watch under your cuff. Um, Wear less recognizable brands in public. Like I wore that Fortis in New York City. I felt like I'd be safe, but just in case, something that may not be a target. And then 5 is just avoid the flashy watches, the
Mm.
blingy, full gold. So, is this something you think about when you're wearing watches around your respective towns, and everybody in the chat too, or when you go to a bigger city? Are you thinking while you're driving your car that somebody could smash your window and grab your watch? Like, yeah, how do you guys, it's not something I really think about. Do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, I don't really think about the driving aspect, somebody smashing the window. Ironically, you know, I feel the most safe when I'm in New York City. And I don't
Mhm.
know if it's because I grew up outside of it and have been there many, many times throughout my life, like thousands and thousands of times. I used to work in New York City. I feel safe, and now I know that there's crime there, but like I guess because I'm so used to um, there, and like kind of have like a little bit of street sense when it comes to that. So like I'm not like a tourist, and so yeah, I mean I ironically feel safe now. Right, you made the good point, and it was a good video. I felt like he was like talking to me when he was saying, with a Rolex, just put it on a rubber strap, and I mainly did I partly did that for safety reasons. There's a couple of small cities that are near me that are not New York City that I actually feel a little less safe than I do in New York City, right? So that was, and sometimes I go to these I mean, because they're kind of close by. Um, because I feel like I stand out more there, right? It's a smaller city, smaller town. Like we're talking like maybe like 200,000 people, right? As opposed to like 8 million in 10 million in New York, where like I feel like I blend in, you know what I mean? So that's why I feel like more safe. Um, I also put it on strap. The other reason is too because I just felt like people were judging me that I knew with it. So that's why I kind of like just
Mm,
didn't want to get any attention towards myself. But but look, traveling like a couple months ago I went down to Puerto Rico. Now I used to live in Puerto Rico. I have family down there. I go there pretty often, or had gone there pretty often before my mother moved back up here in the last like 5 or 6 years ago. Um, I wouldn't bring the Rolex down there. You know what I mean? Because crime is a little bit more prevalent,
yeah.
and I know enough about it that I know, okay, I'm not even it's different than New York City where I could just blend in. I stick out a little bit down there in Puerto Rico, especially in the non-tourist areas where I go, where my family is, right? So nothing against it. I love the Puerto Rican people, but I mean, like, you still have some bad elements anywhere you go, right? And crime crime down there is they'll smash your windows, right?
Yeah.
There you know they'll shoot you for your watch and then ask questions, not like stick them up and then you know what I mean.
Yep.
So that's where you bring the G-Shock. You know
I
what
was
I
at a
mean?
wedding in Puerto Rico a few years ago, and the bride was from there originally, and the groom is from Massachusetts. But it was beautiful. It was in a very small
Mhm.
town, beautiful. But the groom's, we think it was an inside job with the maybe the wait staff or something. The groom's purse was stolen out of her
Mm.
vehicle that she had, and it ruined the night.
Yeah,
Once they
sure.
discovered it, it was just terrible.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But that could happen anywhere, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah. So it's in the back of my mind, right? You never want to be a target, right? And how do you be a target? How do you not be a target? You don't wear the watches generally that you don't want them to be stolen when you don't want to wear those, right?
Yep.
So and it's a shame, man, right? Sanjay, like you want to wear your watches out because you're proud of them, you love them, and you have to have this in the back of your mind, right?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't really think about it too much. I don't
Mm,
live in a place.
hmm. Well, you're in Canada. I mean, everybody's
Yeah,
nice in
bad
Canada,
things
right?
don't happen
Well, I
there.
Yeah,
mean, bad
I'm
things
teasing.
happen
Yeah.
in Toronto, I guess, like downtown Toronto, and I guess things are a bit more complicated there. I don't I don't really have any high profile watches
True. Yeah.
that unless if in the future I get a Cartier Santos or a Rolex Explorer, but even the Rolex Explorer is super
Mm,
understated, I
Mhm.
think.
hmm
So
hmm
um, I don't know. I guess I just got that 9F GMT, which kind of looks like an Explorer 2, which is a bit more, you know, um, attention drawing, and from a distance, maybe someone would think it's an Explorer 2 or something. But um, I don't know. I don't really honestly think about it too much.
mm,
But he did say, yeah, you think it's not going to happen to you until it does happen to you,
right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So very, very valid points that he made. Very interesting to learn about the moped gangs. I mean, I've heard a bit about it from Paul Thorpe, um, but I didn't realize that they would, peek into your car and smash the window if they see like a nice watch on your wrist or what could appear to be a nice watch. It's interesting because in that video with what's his name, the glasses guy, uh, Watch Eric, Watch Eric.
Yeah. Watch
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So in that video, they Paul Thorpe and Watch Eric talked about a guy who got killed, a
Mhm.
31-year-old guy who got killed for fake Patek Philippe Nautilus, I think. So
Wow.
they just stabbed him or something and took the watch. They didn't ask any questions or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that, and he died. He just died on the street, I guess, which
Mm,
is horrible. Especially for, I mean,
Fake
it's
watch.
horrible anyway, but especially for a fake watch, which is something we've talked about in the past, I think. So, yeah, we're something to think about. Good tips as well.
yeah.
Like you said, Clayton, the tips aren't anything groundbreaking. It's just common sense for the most part.
Good
Um,
reminder, though. Good
yes,
reminder.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. But yeah, I enjoyed the video.
Christian Watchman, that is why you wear a $160 Bambino and keep the Rolex at home, which is a shame, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a shame, I mean, there's some truth to what Chris is saying. Especially if you go to a place that you've never been to before. For sure.
Right.
Chaz, I need to ask John P. if Fed makes a good employee. A look behind the scenes at Del Rey.
Is it bad?
Plan.
I always think of John P as more of his sidekick than his
I do
partner. That
too.
is that bad?
No, I don't. I don't. You know. Uh, I don't think it's bad. I think you're not the only one. I mean, I've definitely felt like he was more of a psychic, and it's because um, Fed was so much more established, especially in YouTube, right? I mean,
Yeah.
says he's been doing videos for years, and then he starts Del Rey with John P, and John P's more behind the scenes, and then John P just starts doing videos, right? So like I always feel like I think it's an equal partnership. But I always feel like, yeah, that John P is like kind of like his sidekick.
I like his new video format, though. It's like, wide, kind of cinematic looking,
yeah, but it feels
Oh,
like it's in a hotel room, right? I
right,
mean,
yeah, yeah. I like the widescreen. I like the look. Yeah, the
yeah,
background's terrible, but
yeah,
I like the widescreen cinematic look to it.
yeah, yeah.
it looked a little over processed to me. Like, I
Might
don't know
be.
if he was wearing makeup or something, but it just looked really
Mm,
fake, you know?
yeah,
He's
could be.
the Teddy Baldessar, very polished look, maybe.
Yeah,
Teddy
I
pulls
mean,
it off very well.
hey, maybe that's what gets the views. Um, by the way, here
I'm
at
putting
Bobby
Rolex in
Legs,
every title.
yeah, here
Yeah.
at Bobby Legs, oh, watch soup, we make up free, all of us.
Right.
We
Yeah.
we we, we made that pledge.
I cover up
100%.
my face, but it's with hair.
Yeah. Scott says, I live in LA and I feel very safe wearing no matter what watch I wear. Watch crimes are up, but they're still not common. Bobby K saying, in Miami during the day, I don't think about it, but at night, I just dress down from a watch standpoint. Um, for sure. Uh, let's see here. Hey, Waven's here. I go all over New York City wearing my Grand Seiko at all times of the day. Not, I worry. And worry not a jot. Yeah, not a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm way been. I mean, you live in New York City. I frequent New York City. I feel very safe in New York City. Um, and I go into subways and people, oh, you go into subway? Subways? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like if you act like you've been there, you're okay.
Right.
Joey B,
That's
I've
fair.
never thought about it in Philly or New York. I was once wearing a Rolex driving through a rough part of West Philly and thinking it would suck just to get a flat tire. Really haven't never been concerned. Um, Paul is saying on island in BC about the only place I feel safe. World has changed and it sucks. 20th century relic that doesn't like this bar anymore. Okay, carry a shotgun, says Dib, on a sling. Nobody will come to you. All right, dude. Wear an Invictus shirt when you're in New York City. Nobody will. We've been Grand Seiko, wore Grand Seiko in San Juan. Yeah, I think you're pretty safe wearing Grand Seiko in San Juan. I think you're pretty safe. Um, so
Thank you,
I
Chip.
what was that?
Grand Seiko, no one cares. Yeah.
No. It's just like I feel like it's still a brand that us watch nerds really geek out about, and the general public kind of knows about, but they're still put off by the Seiko name, right? Oh, so it's just a
Yeah.
Seiko, not
Yeah.
knowing that it's way more than that. I think most people,
Give me your
have
watch. Are you sure it's a
yeah.
Seiko? Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
Seiko. Okay, yeah, no. Have at it, boy. Um, Quick happy Mother's Day, says the big rest to all the wives who put up with us. I have to get back to dinner before my wife sees me texting. Rob says in LA depends. I'm familiar with the areas. Some guy was pistol whipped trying to give up his Rolex. Be smart. Um, William is saying the only big cities I really go to anymore are Chicago, New Orleans. I don't worry about what watch I wear. New Orleans has got some shady parts. I love New Orleans. I've been there a bunch of times. Yeah, you do got to be a little bit careful though, William. There, but maybe William, maybe you're like 6'5" and 250, so maybe you don't have to worry about it. Chaz says I wear a Grand Seiko. Bad guys run from those. Um, Bruno says Canada is like a nice family that lives over a biker bar.
Sorry
Jeffrey
about
O'Neill.
all the noise, eh?
Yeah. Keep it down, eh? If you wear a Rolex, you should have a good insurance policy and do not fight if you get robbed. Yeah, hand it over. Remember, you don't ever own a Rolex. You're just holding it for the next generation. JB says I'm way more worried about someone seeing me wearing an expensive watch and judging me for it than I am about them stealing it. For sure. Okay, let me just scroll down really quick. Oh, there's the we need to adopt a Saudi. Okay, no, we don't. We don't need to adopt a Saudi approach. Okay, because I know where he's going with that. Wearing Rolex, getting out of my 20-year-old Accord, criminals won't think would think it's a face. That's true. Snobs are totally put off by Seiko on the dial, so they say things like just haven't found the right one for 15 years because they know they should respect them, but they're stuck on snob. Okay. So let's thanks, Paul. Moving on to the next one. And it's Sanjay's boy. You're terrific. Speaking of
Yeah.
Grand Seiko Lake Suwa, Spring Drive, some really funny little lines on this one, I have to say.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, no, it was a great video as usual from Mr. Evan from YoureTerrific. I enjoyed his take on it. So again, not going to try and rehash it because it deserves a view. You guys should go watch it. It's got lots of eye candy and lots of humor. Um, do go take a look. He made some really great points. Points I think I agree with. The Evolution 9 case, there's only one watch that I really love in this case design. That's the Mist Flake, the SBGE 285, um, which Your Terrific has reviewed as well. So the interesting thing about Evolution 9 is some of the design principles. I have a little list here, and I'd like to hear what you guys think of like this design philosophy. Um, there are three principles in Evolution 9, according to Grand Seiko, right? So the first one is called evolution in aesthetics, and it's from quoting from Grand Seiko's website. It says the idea is to further bring out the Japanese sense of beauty
Mm,
and nature that lies at the heart of Grand Seiko style. I'm pretty sure they do that whether it's Evolution 9 or not. Um, so forget principle one. The next one is evolution in legibility, which is the hands and indices or indexes, they say, are now even more distinctive, improving the ease with which they can be identified.
mm,
So that's like the double length 12 o'clock index, and the grooves, the super
mhm,
um, high polished facets, and then the grooves in between. That seems to be a big part of Evolution 9. And of course, the chopped off hands. I don't know what that's all about, but with the groove down the middle.
yeah.
Um, the last one, principle three, is evolution in wearing comfort. The case center of gravity is lower. The bracelet widened to ensure the watch sits easily and securely on the wrist. The case fits the wrist firmly but comfortably, producing a stable feel when worn. I can vouch for that. I can vouch for it. It is low center of gravity. Bracelet is incredibly wide,
Mm,
which is one of his complaints,
yep.
your Terrific's complaints. Um, but yes, the case is molded to somewhat fit an average sized wrist, I think, very, very comfortably and be well planted on the wrist. Um, so I was thinking we could kind of chat about Evolution 9, what you guys actually think about like this design philosophy. Um, it would be cool to get your idea. I don't know if we've actually talked about it, because when the white birch was announced, we were kind of puzzled about the whole, chopped off hour hand, and the wide bracelet, right? So the most Evolution 9 watches are 40 millimeters in diameter, but the lug width is 22 millimeters.
Mhm,
So it's got really wide presence, kind of like the Black Bay 54. Um, you know, 37 mil watch with a 20 mil lug width. What's all that about, Tudor? um, but yeah, thoughts about the bracelet, the wide bracelet is does that make any sense to you guys? Do you guys like the way it looks?
I'm a more of a fan of a taper, for
Yeah.
sure. So, I like a good old dramatic taper. So, yeah, not necessarily for me. It sounds like Evan disagrees with all of these principles. I think he had a problem with everyone pertaining to everyone, right? By the sounds of it, he didn't like the. Well, how do you feel about lube? I love the like toxic Lake Suwa graphic he put up. That was sort of funny. But how do you feel about no loom on Grand Seiko? I had it on the SBGP 015, and I wasn't sure it actually belonged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you for loom on Grand Seiko or against
Kind
it?
of indifferent.
Yeah.
I don't mind not having loom because I kind of do buy into the whole, faceted jewel-like indices in the
Mhm.
hands because of that, even slight amounts of light give give reflections enough that you're able to tell the time. Obviously not as easily as if it had lumibrate, something really almost radioactive in appearance at least. But those faceted indices in faceted hands really do wonders for me.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
those too. I'd rather have that than loom. I know he was hoping for some loom. Yeah, the minute hand it's a little odd having it cut off, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the wide bracelet though. How about you, Bobby?
So yeah, so working backwards and addressing the bracelet first, I what bothers me about it, and I think I'm echoing some of what you're saying, Clayton, is that it just feels wide, right? You got a 40 mil
Yeah.
case with a 22 millimeter lug to lug. You want to bring it up, Sanjay?
Yeah.
And and that in itself is not a deal breaker, but you go from a 22 to a 20 taper, and it just doesn't seem enough. Sometimes like that, those 2 millimeters are a difference maker for me, but
Hmm.
in this watch, going from a 22 to 20, not so much. 22 to 18, I think you have a nicer looking watch, probably a better, even better wearing experience, right? I mean, in conjunction with that low center of gravity with the case. I just find that it looks odd. You know what I mean? Like when he was
Hmm.
doing the wrist roll, and I'm not seeing any of that taper. Even though I know it's there, and it just looks a little too thick with that
Yep.
40 mil. It really does need a taper for it to work for me. Um, in regards to the legibility, you know, I found that, and I've only had one Grand Seiko, and it was the Sea of Clouds. Beautiful watch. I thought it was just incredibly beautiful, right? That dial, the polish on the indices and the hands. But at some lights, and maybe it's my close to 50-year-old eyes looking at it, it was a little bit hard to read the time. So anything that they can do to make that a little more legible, that's great. I don't have an issue with it with the cutoff hour or minute hand. That's fine with me. Um, in regards to the loom, uh, I'm not indifferent per se, but not like so um, one-sided that yes, there should be loom. I think it's a case-to-case basis. Evan does make a good point. I mean, it's a sports watch, you know, and I kind of like the idea. I know it's not, nothing is required, right? Nothing is set in stone, but I kind of like a little loom with my sports watches, right? Especially when you have that dial, that like Suwa dial, and I think it would be a good, contrast to it at certain levels of light. So I would have liked to have at least seen some loom on that. What else? I think that's it, right? I think that's the kind of like what we're talking about, right? Um, I do like the watch in general. I just, man, if they could just make that bracelet a little taper a little bit, it'd be killer. It'd be killer.
I honestly I don't think the issue is with the taper of the bracelet. I think it's where the bracelet starts off. Like the fact that it starts off at a 22 mil is what I think that causes the most, at least visual,
Yeah.
disconnect for me. Especially as someone who owned this watch. I mean, I can't argue at how comfortable it is to wear. It really is a very comfortable watch to wear, but it does look a little strange.
Yeah, yeah, but I think this is where the taper maybe happening soon after
I
where it
see.
meets the
Yeah.
lugs,
Yeah.
Okay.
could and maybe flowing with the as much as it can with the lug, how as you see here, the lugs coming in,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more of a flow with that. It doesn't have to be exactly like start the taper doesn't have to exactly start where the lugs start pointing in per se, but just like even just closer, the taper closer to the lugs. Um, I think it would be markedly improved, a huge improvement on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just looks like you said. It does look odd there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good point, because if it did start to taper a bit more right at that end link point,
Hmm.
I think you're onto something. It'd probably look even more like an integrated bracelet watch if it did that.
Hmm.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. To me now, it just looks like the bracelet is just kind of part of the case.
Mm,
I know how that sounds. Of course, it is part of the. I mean, like, or it's attached to the case, but now it's just like it feels like it's just like a block, right? It's
yeah.
just like case bracelet instead of case bracelet
Yeah.
bracelet. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, for me, I think I really want to like this new design aesthetic, but uh, the more I look at it, there's only that one watch where I really really enjoy it. Um, and it's kind of a shame, because I got to see the specific watch that you're terrific, that Evan reviewed, the SLGA 021. Um, got to see it yesterday, and as soon as I saw it, I I wrote it out of my like short list. I
yeah.
I just
Mm,
couldn't
wow.
couldn't really. enjoy that design aesthetic. And if someone else likes the new aesthetic, that's great, great for them. But the misflake actually fixes what you guys are talking about,
Yeah.
at least what you're talking about, Bobby, because it does have loom on it.
Yeah.
So the SPG
Yep.
285, very tasteful implementation of loom on that watch.
Yeah, and again, not necessarily a deal breaker here. The bracelet is more of the deal breaker
Yeah.
for me on this one.
Right,
Um,
right.
let's see. That Lake Suwa is the Bermuda Triangle of horological bodies of water. The ghouls hiding in Lake Suwa will come out and take your soul away. Run away. Bobby K saying everyone should talk to their partners with the same enthusiasm and glee that Sanjay talks about Evan. Um, Dib saying the three principles: number one, lose money; number two, lose dignity; number three, jump off sinking ship. Harsh criticism from a man who loves Grand Seiko. Um, really. I see. Sometimes I feel like he's trolling us. Um, anyway, Dib is saying, as my spirit animal, Kevin says, stay away from the Lake Sula. The Evo 9 design language is unsinkable, just like the Titanic. Wow, man. People are just really coming, not not liking this. The case is awesome, and I've come around on the hands. Okay. I'll buy a Rolex, says Deb. Is that chopped off our hand? Just strange. Loom would destroy the aesthetic of this dial. Get a Hotaka if you want loom. Okay. All right, sir. That's fine. Just saying, hey, I agree with Bob. Thank you. Contrast is everything for my aging highs and serious consideration for me when purchasing a watch. Um, Dib saying, in all seriousness, this is one of the best watches below 10K, especially used. Anyone who hasn't tried one on, please go try it out. Um, and why do people hate Tesla? All right, okay. Maybe we'll address that in a different show. Anyway, okay. So moving on. Finally, last topic. John P's partner in crime, Federico. Federico talks watches. Can you talk about Tudor without mentioning Rolex? Now, this one is his typical weekly video where he answers questions from Instagram, and there are a couple here that we're going to talk about here. One, here the title here. Can we talk about Tudor without mentioning Rolex? And emphatically, Federico says, "Of course, you cannot not mention Rolex when you're talking about Tudor. Rolex owns Tudor. Rolex Tudor wouldn't be where they would be if it wasn't for Rolex." He says that their sales would drop down a weirdly pinpointed number of 65% less sales. I don't know how he came up with that number, um, but um, but he came up with that number. And I got to tell you, in regards to this, I kind of agree with him, right? I mean, without Rolex, what would Tudor be? Now, Tudor, a great company, makes good quality watches. I've owned several of them, no complaints. They he mentioned they came out with the Black Bay to kind of just try to um, make themselves stand out. But when they do stuff like that, they also do stuff like the Diet Root Beer, the Diet Pepsi. You know what I mean? Watches that are definitely a nod towards the parent company and some of their models there. So it's really, I would love to, Tudor to stand out on its own and be its own thing, but you know, they can't, and maybe that's totally fine. I think that's totally fine. Tudor wants that moniker to be or that association with Rolex because it, at the end of the day, in my opinion, obviously drives sales. He also talks about there's another question about him, falling out of love with watches, and if he fell out of watches, does it make it that much easier for him to go away? And I think it's very apropos that we talk about this because of Sanjay and even to you, even Clayton to a certain extent, who have fallen in love with watches and fallen out with love with watches, and they are just gone. You guys are just ruthless, and there's a little bit of that in me as well, and I mean that as a total compliment for sure. But he when he falls out of a watch, he puts it in the watch box for 3 or 4 months, and then he gives it another chance. way more chances than anybody in this panel will give to their watches for sure. No doubt about that. And I'm guilty as
I
charged.
put it in
Anyway,
a post office box and ship it to its new owner.
right. Well, Clayton, look, you're up. What did you think about what Federico had to say about both the Tudor and his collection?
Yeah, they're conjoined, right? You kind of can't say one. Well, you can't say Tudor without the Rolex thing, really. And so I had a Pete McConville podcast this week, and we were talking about he's kind of anti Tudor. So we were talking about the Morgan Stanley, and Tudor has been stagnant for like 3 years. They've been at 15 in Swiss watch sales for 3 straight years. And he was a little perplexed at all the media coverage they get for a brand that's pretty low down on the sales. And he is almost convinced that Rolex is doing some under the table paying content create, especially like the publications. He didn't explicitly like out anyone, but he thinks like all of them, the Hodinkis, the Fratellos, they may be getting paid to write so much content. Tudor got more screen time and online article time than all the other 13 brands ahead of it, excluding Rolex. And they're still like way down the sale. So he thinks that Rolex is helping out the kid brother, baby sister brand, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's interesting. I think he's planning on doing a video about it at some point, but I thought interesting. And yeah, the watches thing, I don't have that kind of patience with watches that are, I just feel like I just want to move on to some. I usually have something else in mind because we all kind of do, right? We're always thinking about the next one. So when I usually don't have a whole lot of patience, if I'm somebody who likes to wear my watches, and if there's always other watches. So kind of cold-hearted that way, I guess. Bye. Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay.
I
Sorry,
think you froze up there a little bit, Clayton. I think that's what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or was it
Okay.
me? Anyway,
I don't know.
okay, moving on. So, hey, Sanjay, so what did you think about the about Federico's video?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to just scoff and say, "Psh, yeah, whatever, you know. Don't really care about Rolex personally, right? I'm not a Rolex guy, but I love Tudor. Um, or I shouldn't say I love Tudor. I really like Tudor. But yeah, I think he's right though, right? Whenever you even think about Tudor, the way you describe Tudor, like you say, yeah, it's a Tudor. And if someone asks, what's Tudor? It's like, oh, Rolex's sister company, So you immediately like
Yeah.
you just Rolex is like how you describe what Tudor is. Or it's Rolex's sub brand or so it's kind of like it or not, it's a core part of Tudor's identity, and there's no real getting away from it. I should clarify that I don't dislike Rolex. I actually do, kind of like Bobby and Oris. I really respect Rolex, right? I like what they do, and they're really great, but just not for me. But I think he's right. You kind of have to mention Tudor. His analogy was that it's like talking about a car and not having to mention its wheels or something, which is a strange analogy.
Yeah, totally strange.
Yeah.
um, yeah, but it's a part of Tudor's heritage, and it is definitely something that you have to mention when talking about Tudor. There's no escaping it. That said, that doesn't mean Tudor is any less of a brand. That doesn't make Rolex any less of a brand. It's just a fact, and it's just something that makes it easier to describe Tudor. You'd have to
Yeah.
go like you'd have to really shoot yourself in the foot in trying to describe something if you were trying exclusively to remove Rolex from the narrative or something, right?
Yeah.
It would make your life miserable trying to explain what Tudor is without just having that arm to lean on or something. The other interesting thing was that one viewer who asked him a question about the crown. You know, how the crown
Yeah.
never lining up. Was that something you guys have considered in the past at all? Like at
No.
all?
Nope.
No.
I
I-
I remember in the past I used to be like that about the case back. I
Yeah.
really wanted the case back to line up with the bottom lugs. And I
Yeah.
remember taking I remember thinking it was like a QA defect when I first got into watches, and I got this watch. It was a Tissot. Looked at the case back and it wasn't lined up, and I was like, "Dude, it's a Tissot. What's wrong with this thing?" And I took it into the watchmaker, and I was like, "Can you line this up somehow?" And they took it in the back, and they were like, "Yeah, we tried and we tried and we tried. It just won't line up. I'm sorry." It's
Yeah.
how it is. So yeah, I was one of those OCD guys, but never with the crown. So that was an interesting thing to hear. The other one was the selling a watch that you fall out of love with. For me, I sometimes just decide to fall out of love with a watch. It's just I'm in love with the watch one day, and the next day I'm like, yeah, all right, well it's been a slice, you know.
That
Let's do
wandering eye that you talked about last
Yeah.
week.
yeah, yeah. Last week I was certain I wouldn't sell the 295. This week, yeah, I don't even regret
Gone.
it. So it's just gone.
Don't
So
Wow.
I
even look.
don't
You don't even look back. You don't
no
even like.
No.
no. So I don't keep it in a drawer for a while. If I've fallen out of love with it, it's gone pretty ASAP. So yeah.
All right, Scott Turlo saying without Rolex, Tudor would be Steinhardt. Ooh, that's deep. That's a deep cut. I don't know if I think you're joking. I think you're
Yeah.
joking, Scott.
Yeah.
Paul saying Tudor doesn't make anything. People get mad when I say that, but facts. They do all their they do own all their suppliers. They assemble. Hey, Chris, thanks for the super chat. Everybody, just buy 1,000 Invictas and call it a day. Then you'll be taken seriously as a collector. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Chris. Underachieving watch collector. If Tudor wasn't owned by Rolex, it would be sued by Rolex. Tudor is better at everything. Just get laid when you wear your Black Bay. When you wear your Rolex, you get bugged. Okay. All right. I gotta remember Dib. I have to remember that Dib is one of these guys where I really have to like proofread what I say. Bruno, I own the Black Bay Heritage 41, and every time I look down, I thought it's almost a Rolex. Sold it. Wow. Okay. All right. Romy saying in the past, Federico may have been right. So what? Times have changed, and now Tudor is pretty much a standalone entity, albeit with a big brother. With a big brother. Haters gonna hate. Pete needs to chill. I buy I buy Tudor because it's not Rolex. Rolex Heritage gives me confidence in the quality. Never had a problem with one. People hate you when you wear Rolex. People love you when they see you wearing Tudor, as they know you can't get a Rolex at retail. Damn. All right. Paul saying I like that they're not Rolex. Also, love my Pele 39. Not knocking Tudor at all. Okay. Jeff is saying only watch geeks think about the Tudor Rolex relationship. Maybe the salesperson says it to a customer to get a sale, but otherwise most people don't care. I agreed.
Mhm.
Underachieving watch collector at my Rolex 80 Tudor is the starter watches to buy to get on the Rolex waitlist. Okay. Yeah, that I've
Tudor has
heard
the
that
wait
as
list
well.
now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, look, it took me a year to get my original Black Bay 58 after they came out.
Wow.
Albeit I got it from a dealer in Puerto Rico, and they don't really see as many watches, I think. Or I mean, it takes a while for them to see those kind of watches.
Hmm.
But I had to wait. That was a really hot watch when they first came out, the original 58 for sure.
You know, the Hans Wilsdorf Corporation, or whatever they call it.
Mhm.
They should come up with a third brand, like the peasant brand. You know, like you got Rolex, like the king,
Mhm.
right? And you
Mhm.
got Tudor, which is like the noble people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tudor,
And
and
the
you got
serfs.
The surfs.
Like who? Like you want to watch for the surfs? Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
what would that? That's a little fun experiment. Like what would that
Yeah.
name be? You know,
Yeah. The Knave.
the name, the name.
Knaves. Knave
Okay.
brand.
I can
Okay.
see surf written
Yeah.
SERF written
Yeah.
across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the people would be like, "Oh, is that a Scurfa?" Or so? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, guys, we did it again, man. You know, that was a really good episode, I thought.
I
Yeah.
say because I don't know if you guys saw Kevin O'Leary and Teddy did another video, but
Oh, they did.
on Kevin's channel. And Kevin is going into the affordable zone with watches. He has a Nevada Grecian. He's gotten into Tudor. He's a true collector now. He bought 4 at once because you need at least 3 pieces from a mark to be a collector, right?
That
So
guy.
he's a Tudor guy. He's a Nevada Grecian guy. Hamill now, and I joked that yeah, the FTX, it must have gone way worse than we thought because Kevin is wearing
Yeah.
Nevada Grecian in
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's like, but yeah, I almost picked it, but then I don't know. I didn't want to do you dirty like that, so I figured we'd skip him.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, he's Sanjay's boy. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, so
Yeah, he
Sanjay
is.
loves Kevin O'Leary. Like, I think like if Kevin O'Leary and Evan from YoureTerrific did a video together, like that would just be like so epic
Oh
for
yeah.
Sanjay, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary is Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. National treasure. I'm telling you.
Did you hear in that Paul Thorpe Watch Eric thing that Kevin O'Leary and that watch party in Miami wore a venti?
A
Like those, the
venti?
venti is like those sapphire crystal. They're like a Richard Mille sort
Oh, a
of
venti.
like a
Okay.
venti. I mean, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, I was thinking Starbucks. I need coffee.
yeah.
A venti.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he double wristed a venti at that event. So he must be on there. He must be getting paid.
Oh man, that dude. So he goes from FTX to Aventi. Oh man, it's just dude's got
I
no
mean,
shame.
Watch Eric
that's
was
a
giving
budget
it to
brand
him
too,
pretty
right?
hard for that.
Yeah.
They make like no, they make like inexpensive tourbillons. Like I think you
Okay.
can get a tourbillon for I don't know, $10,000 or something.
Right, right.
They're not the nicest. They're not my style. They're
Yeah.
probably like well made. They're just not my style.
Yeah, it's not my style either.
Yeah, me neither. It's like
But
a
watch Eric was giving it to him a bit for that. Like this guy rolls into this party with double wristing. He's like, what?
I'm sure he I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care about them. He despises them so much that he'd rather get those stolen or something. Who knows?
I think they mentioned the next day somebody saw him and he was back to wearing like an FP Journe or
Yeah.
something. So he was totally like, the owner of Aventi was probably, you're going to this party. I'll throw you a little something double wrist.
That would have to have been some big something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Kevin O'Leary. Or maybe he's just really easy to buy. I don't know.
Yeah, he may not say he may never say no to anything except for like when he's on the show and he says no.
You probably did some royalty in perpetuity. I get so much for every time I wear an Aventi, or he probably made some royalty program with them or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wetting his beak, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they speak. Yeah. Under two and watch color, they're saying treasures deserve to be buried.
Yeah.
Wow.
In time capsules, you know.
Time capsules, yeah. To be opened up 100 years later. You're like, remember this guy? Just remember this guy.
Oh, he was great. He wanted to be buried with his watches too, right? His kids aren't getting anything.
Oh yeah, that's what he said. He reiterated that again in this
Yeah.
video that his son is not getting his grubby hands on any of his watches. They're all going to the grave.
Yeah. I'll give him the Aventi.
Yeah, I'll give him the Aventis, right? Yeah. Yeah. And some FTX crypto.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we did it again. We did it again. Awesome. Awesome night. Really enjoy watch soup with you guys and chat. You guys are great. Always. I need the intern to help proofread some of these comments from Deb because I feel like he always gets me here. But hey, Clayton, anything coming up on the podcast for you this week?
Just released yesterday the one with Pete. We went almost an hour and 40 minutes. It was a good one.
Wow, no,
Talk about the
awesome.
things that divide watch collectors, the great
Oh.
divide. The
Ah,
things, yep.
yeah. I gotta make sure I listen to that on the way back from dropping off the kids tomorrow for sure. Hey, Sanjay, any videos coming up? I mean, like it's really like these videos are really the kiss of death here, man. You know what I mean of your collection. Hey, I saw the Chopik video.
Yeah,
Great,
very nice.
great video.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
Thank you. Yeah, it was super low effort. I was so crunched for time that I couldn't really edit the video or do anything. I'm probably not gonna have anything going on this week. Possibly next week. I got to borrow the Pepsi from Marcus, so I had the BLRO.
You
Wow.
got to do some shorts, man. You got to do some shorts, some wrist rolls, some shorts.
Do I?
You know, on YouTube Shorts, man. I mean, that's
That's
people
true.
like seeing that. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like shorts, so I feel like I never do the things I don't like, but maybe I
I
should.
don't ever watch them.
Yeah.
It's crazy
Yeah.
because like YouTube, that's what YouTube is promoting more and more these days is short form videos and shorts itself. So
It
supposedly that's a
feels
thing.
it feels a bit like I have like my breath. I start breathing faster and some sort of like
Mm.
anxiety attack when I watch too many shorts. Do you guys get that? It's like they're always talking so fast and there's text like all over the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy
Sensory
about the
overload.
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I like maybe seeing like the slow motion guy dunking the basketball. That's cool for
Oh, okay,
sure. You
okay,
know what I mean? But like
okay.
when it's like luxury bazaar and they're like chatting it up, and I'm just like, whoa, 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 it's
Yeah.
you know, it's a little too much. It's a little too much.
Right.
Well, anyway, guys, thanks again. Great episode tonight, and really enjoyed doing this as always. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Watch Soup. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and talk to you soon. See you guys. Good
Have a
night.
great week. Good night.
Soup's off. Soup's off.
Mazal.